When you want to explore your city and you want to eat downtown or enjoy a new place, for our family to do it kind of in a way that's most likely to be successful, we can't be fully spontaneous.
Now, if you're going to go visit somebody, it's very important for you to do the research as to where you're going.
Especially if I'm by myself with her, that I, have to think, is it a coffee shop that has a ramp I can go down, or am I going to hope that a stranger holds the door open for me and helps me, kind of thing?
So we either have to know the place, know about parking, even know about like the grade of the hill. I tend to like historical buildings and places and communities, but I also have learned for so long that those are often the least accessible places.
I want to go have an evening with my wife and go have dinner, date night. Kids are all taken care of with grandparents. But then when you roll in, you find out that there's stairs to get up.
So there's this feeling that you kind of have to observe these things from afar. These aren't really places where you belong, and that's not a message that I want anybody in our community to feel.
When I first went on maternity leave, I would go for walks every day, and it was a path that I had done jogs on, every day, and never realized that there are 3 curbs that don't have curb cuts. Never in the 5 years that we did that before that I ever noticed that.
I'm just living my life, not thinking about my disability until it is highlighted or somebody reminds you about it.
Prior to it was never a thought of where we were going or the way we were going to get there or whatnot, and now it's just something you have to plan if you have a stroller with you. Sad, I guess I didn't think about it before, but now that it affects me personally, I guess I do.
I think sometimes when we think about access, we also think about places like restaurants or recreational facilities or bars as kind of being extra and maybe not as important as some of our other settings, but we don't realize how those are just parts of kind of the threads of life.
Well, if you don't know and haven't developed a plan before you leave, you become anxious.
At the very start of my career, I remember I showed up for orientation for a new job, and it was a mixer for new young professionals, and I'd actually called ahead and made sure it was accessible, but when you came into the restaurant, the group seating was up 2 steps.
Being a very independent person, independent family, throwing that kind of barrier in their way without a seamless transition from the street to the hostess to the table, it does become awkward and time consuming.
It was very awkward because these were my new colleagues. I didn't know anyone, and of course everyone was really helpful and wanted me to be a part, and there was not another place to sit. The option was they kind of lifted my chair up the 2 steps, and if you needed to go to the restroom, if you wanted to do anything other than stay on this platform, you'd need to ask your new colleagues or supervisor that you work with.
We already draw attention to us anyway by being the people we are and the way we get around, which we're very proud of, but it just kind of highlights our difference in a negative way.
So it just immediately, the playing field is now not level in a place that does involve my employment. And the same is true, business negotiations are made out many times after work hours, not necessarily in the 9-to-5 office.
We should have something in our community that will take that problem and, let's say, help the invalid, help the aged citizen.
When I go into places that are just a great fit, it's as if you don't even notice it. So accessibility doesn't stand out as, there's the ramp, it's built in. And some of the best examples of universal design especially are just beautiful.
I think Cincinnati in general is very accommodating and very well meeting the citizens of our city. I rarely have bad interactions with people.
And I think that Cincinnati's in a unique place. We have more national events that come our way. We have a huge wheelchair games that's coming up next year. We're working on so many initiatives at a city level as well for accessibility. So I think we're really in a unique place to be a leader.
So come up with a master plan to help us understand what we have to do as senior citizens in order to make our life easier. Take the tension away from us.
So it's definitely, I think, in the best interest of everybody to be accessible, because it doesn't just benefit us, it benefits people who may have a temporary mobility challenge, like someone who's using crutches for a few weeks.
Mothers with strollers, the elderly who are using walkers.
Our disability community is huge. We're the largest minority in the world, and then when you look at all the people that are connected or love someone with a disability, it's even larger.
The fastest growth in the United States are senior citizens, over 60.
When we first moved here, I always saw like young professionals, so I always really liked that. And now that we have a kid, it's really fun to see all the young families starting to move in.
We found some great places that are accessible, and that's who we choose to give our business to.
We have choices on where we want to spend our money, and we'd love to spend it at your establishment, as long as you're thinking about us when you build your new barbecue place or your new retail store. We'd love to visit, but we got to be able to get through the front door.